Good afternoon. I want to thank all of you all for coming out today on this cold day. On Wednesday, February the 12th, the St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office issued charges of rape, sodomy, and kidnapping on a man who has been preying on women for quite some time. These horrific crimes have caused a terrible pain and trauma for the victims, and today we stand with unwavering support of them. Our Bureau of Special Investigations has worked tirelessly along with the Prosecuting Attorney's Office to build a strong case, one that brings these survivors the justice that they deserve. Their courage in coming forward has made all the difference. Here with me today is St. Louis Prosecuting Attorney Melissa Price Smith and St. Louis County Division Criminal Investigation Commander Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Lohr. I want to thank both of them for the work that your offices did in bringing this case to light today, and I'll let you hear from them. Melissa.
Thank you all for being here, and to the St. Louis County Police Department for their dedication to getting violent criminals off the street. As the chief said, we have issued 13 counts against Mr. Malley, and we praise the courageous victims who came forward and made these disclosures. I want to direct my comments to anyone out there who is a victim of Mr. Malley. I want you to know your voice matters. We hear you, we see you, and we respect you. Your voice matters, and we are here for you. Please come forward if you too have been a victim of Mr. Malley. I'd like to introduce Ashley Bailey Smith, who is an assistant prosecuting attorney in our office who has issued these charges, to tell you a little bit more specifically about what exact charges were issued.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Ashley Bailey Smith. I'm with the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office. In conjunction with St. Louis County Police Department, we have so far identified 5 different victims. That being said, I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what we have charged Malley with so far. Count 1, I've charged him with rape in the 2nd degree. Count 2, I've charged him with rape in the 2nd degree. Count 3, I've charged him with rape in the 2nd degree. That is for one victim. I'm referring to them as confidential victim 1 to protect their privacy, as would any other person to come forward. Count 4, I've charged him with rape in the 2nd degree as well as kidnapping. That is noted as confidential victim number 2. Counts 6, I have charged him with rape in the 2nd degree. Count 7, I have charged him with rape in the 1st degree. Count 8, I have charged him with sodomy in the 1st degree. Count 9, I have charged him with rape in the 1st degree. Counts 6 and 7 relate to victim number 3. Counts 8 and 9, the sodomy 1st and rape 1st, relate to victim number 4. Count 10, I have charged him with sodomy in the 1st degree. Count 11, I have charged him with rape in the 2nd degree. Count 12, I have charged him with rape in the 2nd degree. And count 13, I have charged him with kidnapping in the 1st degree. The last 4 counts refer to victim number 5. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerry Lohr. I'm the commanding officer for the Division of Criminal Investigation. So let me begin by thanking the victims that came forward in this case. The courage that it takes for them to come forward and report these crimes is tremendous. And it takes a lot for somebody to come forward and report some type of crime or a crime that's as heinous as this is. Let me also take an opportunity to thank the men and women, the investigators and the detectives that worked on this case. They worked tirelessly to bring some justice to these victims. So they've done a phenomenal job in presenting a case to the prosecuting attorney. And while we are going to bring justice for these victims, we do believe potentially there are some other victims out there. And if there are, we do plead that they do come forward. And thirdly, let me thank the victims advocates that we work with on a daily basis as well. So our victims advocates do provide support to these victims, in the sense that they provide emotional support, physical support, and ongoing support throughout this case, and then ongoing past and beyond that. It's important to note And this is kind of my public safety statement. So in this case, we have people that use social media platforms. And on these platforms, which hundreds of thousands of people use, it's important that if you're on a social media platform that you truly know who it is you're meeting. So I would ask for people, if you're meeting someone on a social media platform, that you use common sense, that you meet in a public place until you become more comfortable with that person, because the person you're meeting online isn't always the person that you believe them to be. Obviously, this investigation has been ongoing and will continue to be ongoing, because we do think that there are more victims. So while we do have some closure for the 5 victims that charges have already been issued on, we do believe that there are some more. And so that while this portion of that investigation is kind of concluding, it is still an ongoing investigation. At this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Could you speak about why you believe there are more victims? Is it just the nature of the crime, or are there reasons to believe there are more victims? What could you say about that?
It's the nature of the crime. Because this is an individual, our suspect was using a social media platform, which obviously he has the ability to touch thousands of people. So potentially there are more victims out there. Victims in this sense, and I'm not an expert in sexual assault, but I will tell you there is some hesitancy, a sense of shame maybe, to come forward. And so while if someone was victimized, they may be embarrassed or ashamed and may not feel compelled to come forward, but I would encourage them to do so.
Can you tell us about the timeline? It seems that some cases go back all the way to 2023. Did police know since 2023, or tell us about that?
So I can tell you our investigative lead started a couple months ago. And so this has been an ongoing investigation. Obviously, we are very sensitive to the nature of this investigation and the nature of the crime that's being committed. So we are trying to bring a resolution or a conclusion to that as quickly as we can to protect other potential victims that may have been out there.
When you say social media websites, I know the PC said online dating. Are we talking like Hinge and Tinder, or are we talking Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
I think I would apply that statement to any social media platform. So anytime you're meeting, obviously.
Well, I mean, in this specific case, what platforms were?
You know what, I don't know which platforms this individual is using, but that's a generic statement in the sense that I would encourage anyone using any social media platform to use some common sense and don't necessarily believe who that person portrays themselves to be until you get more comfortable with that individual.
We're also hearing students from Logan University. Are you working with them? And we've been hearing that they've been making reports. Did you know about that as well?
We do. We are aware of the fact that he was enrolled as a student at Logan University, and yes, we are working with Logan University to continue the investigation.
Can you talk about how you tied all of these together to this one individual? Was it multiple victims that came forward, or were you able yourselves to piece it together?
It's a little bit of both. So it's a little bit of, as the investigation continues and grows, you begin to look for commonalities, you begin to look at patterns. And so, yes, as the victims came forward, we were then able to kind of piece it together to tie it to other victims, yes.
Now that he's in custody, have you been able to take his phone and his computer to track down other potential victims as well?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about the suspect? You mentioned he's a college student. Anything that he used different to lure these ladies in?
No, the commonality I would say is the victims were all very trusting. So the commonality here is this is an individual who puts himself out on a social media platform, and the victims all trusted him. And while trust is a good thing to have in this world, it's a good trait for people to have, but our victims were very trusting.
Could the prosecuting attorney answer a couple of questions, please? So you prosecuted sexual assault crimes in the past. Tell me your reaction about these heinous crimes, and did you see a pattern of escalation of violence as you got to the 4th and 5th victims? Could you speak to that?
Yes, I prosecuted sexual assault and child abuse for the last several years. There are a variety of, some of the counts are rape second degree. Several are also rape first, where obviously those are forcible compulsion. So in those cases, his behavior absolutely escalated. In terms of the escalation and the order in which those rape second versus rape first occurred, that I don't know. Ashley Bailey Smith is our prosecutor who's been working with the police very closely on this, so she might be able to answer that. But there were some of the rape charges are forcible compulsion, yes.
Did you just have a comment about just the heinous nature of these crimes?
Basically, what's most important for me to get out there is these crimes are very heinous, but the main thing is victims of these type of crimes are very hesitant to come forward. And my message today is I want those of you out there who are victims of Mr. Malley to know that we see you and that your voice matters and you are not alone. And we want you to know you are safe to come forward and you will not go through this process alone. Your voice matters. You matter, and we respect you. And I think that in these type of cases, it is so very, very hard to come forward. So the victims who have come forward, we applaud their courage. And we're here for anyone else who's been a victim of this man.
What changed in the last few days that allowed you guys, you said you're investigating this for months, to finally bring these charges?
If I could hand this off to, can you take this, or Ashley? Great.
So obviously, the investigative process is very complex. So as the victims come forward, as we're able to kind of put everything basically together and tie it all into a bow. So while I wish we could have brought it forth sooner, it's just the investigative nature of the way we collect information. We're able to develop solid, basically the information that we need to get a probable cause statement issued. So
The victim was just 10-ish days ago. Was there anything in that case in particular that allowed you guys to finally bring charges?
no, it's the totality of it.
So how long did you know about the 4 victims before the February 2nd one?
So this case, we have been working investigative leads for several months on this.
I just asked that because if there was an arrest prior, then maybe the February 2nd case might have not happened.
I totally agree. And again, we work as swiftly and as tirelessly as we can to bring forward a case that we can prosecute and get, without tainting evidence, having every aspect of it covered as best we can.
Could you speak to some more details about the suspect, where he worked, his immigration status?
So he is a U.S. citizen, and he was enrolled at Logan College.
With him being 28 years old, was he a graduate student there, or did he use the university to lure women in, or?
Well, that I don't know. I don't believe so, although at Logan College, I believe it's a chiropractic college, so I don't know whether he was a graduate student. I believe he was a third-year student at Logan College.
There was, in the PC statement, with 2 of the victims talk about marriage. With one, he talked about marriage. With another, he told her that they were married. Is there a cultural thing that speaks to about why he would say we're now married? Could you speak to that?
I can't, other than I think that he was using any tactic he could to gain the trust of his victims. So I think he was using different tactics as a way to gain their trust and confidence. So I can't speak specifically to that.
You talk about investigating for months. Obviously, these cases can be difficult because once the crime has occurred, if you haven't gone straight to the hospital, the evidence, the physical evidence is gone at some point. Do you guys have records of chatting online, or what kind of evidence helped you?
So we do have electronic evidence. So we do have some of that. So we try to use as much evidence. Obviously, we try to use all of the evidence that we have. So some of that is physical location, some of that is timing, some of that is electronic chatting, some of that may be clothing or things of that nature. So yes, we try to use all of the pieces that we have available to us.
So the victims that you have now, the crimes happened at his apartment. It would be pretty obvious for the victims to be able to tell police where this person lived and identify the suspect. Did he threaten them at any time to keep them from speaking?
I think that it was a coercion tactic. So some of that is coercive behavior. I don't know if there were actual threats of violence if you tell somebody I'll kill you type of thing, but I do think it was coercion. And like a sense of shame, embarrassment kind of thing.
I know you believe there are more victims, but and this has been going on since 2023 that we know of, but clearly there's been some pattern of inviting him to his home, sitting on the couch and whatnot, with being so, unfortunately, I hate to say the word, prepared or for something like this. Do you think it goes beyond 2023?
It could, as far as you're talking about going back in time, it could have this could be a pattern that has gone back for 5, 10 years. It could be, yes.
How long did he live in that apartment, do you know?
That I don't know.
Is this case unusual? Usually sexual assault cases are familiar parties generally. Do you see these kinds of cases very often?
We do not see these types of cases very often, although sexual assault is far too common. And whether it's with parties that are known to each other for extended period of time or parties that have just met, sexual assault is way too common. And it does kind of carry a stigma and a sense of shame, which does prevent a lot of our victims from coming forward or feeling like they're able to come forward.
It's not often that press conference is held to talk about a suspect, a rape suspect. And while I know that you want to get the message out about more victims, does this speak to the magnitude of the crimes that has brought all this together and trying to get the word out? Does that say something about just the level of the crimes that this person has committed and may have committed?
Yes, I think it does. I think, although I would argue that any sexual assault is heinous in nature. However, this one, yes, there are multiple victims. There seems to be a pattern. And I think the concern is that there are other victims out there. And while we want to be able to provide them with support, we want them to feel a sense of relief, we also want to be able to prosecute our suspect to the fullest extent that we can.
What support is being provided to these 5 victims?
So we have relationships with victim advocacy groups. So they provide not only, again, physical support in the sense that, hey, if you need a ride to court, you need to come talk to somebody. They provide emotional support, which is, do we need to go to therapy? Do we need to have counseling? They can provide financial support in cases like this as well. So it's not just during this process, so then it is an ongoing, this is something that doesn't end once the trial ends. So obviously this is going to go on for a little while. Warrants have been issued, but we will go to trial on this. There will be a court date. And these victims are going to live with this for the rest of their life. So this is an ongoing support mechanism that's there for these victims to utilize.
I want to, of course, protect the women, but can you explain if they're throughout the St. Louis region or in ages?
So I think that most of them are similar age-wise, so relatively close age-wise to our suspect. As far as we're aware, this is just to the just specific to the St. Louis region. Although social media, because he's on a social media platform, that doesn't mean that he could meet somebody online in a different city and travel to a different city and do something very similar.
Did he live alone in that apartment?
Yes.
Are there any other victims that you're talking to at the moment currently that maybe you just haven't brought charges with that case in particular?
No, but the investigation's still ongoing. So.
All right, thank you all for coming. We